Enchanted Tiki Talk is brought to you by Kingdom Strollers. Our premium stroller and crib rentals are delivered straight to your Disney or Orlando area resort. It couldn't be easier. Book yours at kingdomstrollers.com. And Mouse Pros. Let our travel specialist plan your next vacation. Our concierge level service gives you the perfect hassle-free vacation. Get your free quote from Sean or any of our magical agents at mousepros.com. And now, it's show time!
Your attention, please. One show for you to see. One for you and everyone.
Oh, look at all the people. Pay attention, it's showtime.
I am always ready, as you say, to put on the show.
My goodness, you're all staring at us. We better start the show rolling.
Wait! We forgot to wake up the Glee Club.
Aloha. Come to the Tiki Room. Get your Expialidocious tickets right here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Enchanted Tiki Talk. This is episode 291 for the week of July 3rd/4th, 2019. So this is the 4th of July episode, so happy birthday, America. To all you Brits out there, this is the day we whipped your butt. And we
kicked your ass.
Yes, we did. And now you have to suffer the wrath of the Americans. We come over to your country, we wear baseball caps and wear flip-flops. That's more so for my friend David over there. But and we have beautiful teeth too, by the way.
We eat fries, not chips.
That's true. I don't get that whole thing. They're fries.
Yes.
They're fries. I mean, chips. Come on. Chips. How do you get chips out of that?
I don't know. My son asked me that question. I'm like, I don't know, buddy. I'm not from over there. I don't understand.
They have a lot of strange terminology over there.
Yeah. We went over there when I was younger, and hearing some guy tell me to get something out of his boot, I was like, no, sir, I'm not going in your boot. I realized it was his trunk he was talking about. So.
Right. But you know what trunk could also mean?
I don't even want to try to guess.
You know, junk in your trunk?
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you now.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
But yes, it's America's birthday. At the release of the episode, there'll be plenty of people standing in line waiting for fireworks to go off, and then they can repeat it again 24 hours later, watching the 4th of July fireworks extravaganza at Magic Kingdom and Epcot. I don't know if the other parks do anything, but maybe Studios. We know Animal Kingdom does it, but yeah, that's just one of those things where I just don't know if I could deal with the crowd.
See, I wouldn't go into the park. I would love to go down there and camp out somewhere on, maybe the beach of Polynesian or something where I could see it from afar. Right. And then get out of there and not have to deal with, the throngs of people that will come pouring out of the park when it's done. So. Yeah.
And I know that, as DVC members, we get access to the Top of the World Lounge in the Bay Lake Tower.
Ooh, that would be cool.
But they're having a private event, and they're charging, I think, $250 a person to go.
Yeah, that would not be cool.
No, that's not cool at all. I mean,
you'd be better off to buy you a meal over at the California Grill and just stand up there and watch them.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be much cheaper, and the food is going to be excellent.
Yeah.
I want to go back there so bad.
Yeah, it's one of those that I keep debating. I can't see either of my kids sitting through a meal up there. Right. Especially staying there long enough and behaving long enough to catch the fireworks and all that. So, maybe sometime if we go and my wife and I are able to, sneak away for a meal or something, we'll go. But if not, it will be a while before we get a chance to experience that again.
Right. Also sticking with the 4th of July is, are you a fan of the electric water pageant on the water? Because it's you get patriotic music going on there. I love the water pageant.
Yes, it's I don't always get to catch it, but if I'm somewhere around one of the marinas getting ready to catch a boat or something, I hear the water, I will stop. I'll miss a boat or two because I've got to watch it. So I love it. It's something I remember from my childhood, and it's just it was kind of like the Main Street Electrical Parade to me. You hear the music, it's kind of catchy. Yep. It takes you back to that, when you were a kid and everything. So yeah, I'll sit there and watch it and let the boat go by and just catch the next one.
What really got me was that was designed to be a one-off show for one night only, and it's stuck around for almost 50 years now. It's crazy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I knew. Obviously it wasn't meant to go this long, because you can look at it and tell that it's dated. I mean, there's much newer technology that would look better, but yeah, I didn't know it was just a one-off show.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that it was designed for one night only, and it just didn't leave ever.
Wow. I wonder if they really had like that many people requesting for it, or they just didn't catch it or something, or maybe there was just that many people lined up along the shores watching it, and they were like, hey, maybe we got something here.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I wonder if we could find out the answer, or somebody can let us know.
Where's
the beef?
No, I don't think that would help us. Wonder if somebody like Jim Hill would. Not that Jim Hill listens to us, but I wonder if Jim Hill would know.
He might know. We could reach out to him. We'll see what we can do.
If somebody's got some friends that knows somebody, ask them that question. Let us know.
Yeah, please do. All right. So with that, I'm going to throw it over to Steve for the news. If he's got news this week, I'm not sure because we're recording it a week ahead of time. But Steve, let us know if you got the news.
Sean, I don't have the news.
Hi, Steve from Disney Diary here. This is What's News. With everything happening at Epcot, we have to wonder if Disney will be handing out hard hats when you enter the theme park come September. In addition to the entrance and parking area already torn up, this week we learn the next big phase of refurbishment work at Epcot will take place between Spaceship Earth and the World Showcase Promenade starting in September. This will mean that offerings at and around the Fountain of Nations, including the fountain, will be temporarily relocated or closed. Now currently, the Leave a Legacy monoliths are being removed and the area is to be re-landscaped, but starting in September, the spine of Epcot will be closed. Here's what will be affected. The Art of Disney. It will operate temporarily from a new location and then permanently move to the Heritage Manor at the American Adventure. The Epcot Character Spot will be closed. The characters sent to other locations around the park. Club Cool will also close and reopen in a new capacity at a future merchandise locations. Innovations East, gone, closed. Pin Central, this will close while refurbishment is underway. The Camera Center, well, the Camera Center will be closed and become the new home for the Pin Central. Electric Umbrella, well, the quick service restaurant will close in the winter. Fountain View featuring Starbucks will relocate to a temporary location. Mouse Gear will also move to a temporary home this winter, while its current location will be reimagined. And the Fountain of Nations, the huge fountain in between Mouse Gear and Fountain View, well, that will close on September 8th. In addition, on August 1st, O Canada, the Circle Vision 360 film in the Canada Pavilion, will be closing. This location will be used as a festival space for the 2019 Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. So let's put a lot of this in perspective. In addition to all of the closures in the spine, we know at least 3 new restaurants are coming. One in Japan, one in France, and the space-themed restaurant. 3 pavilion revamps, which include the new Experience Center in the Odyssey Events Pavilion, a new Play Pavilion, and the Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster. 2 illumination shows will be coming. One that's temporary, called Epcot Forever, before the final one, a celebration of Disney music, debuts in 2020. There will be 3 new films, one in China, one in Canada, both of those are Circle Visions, and one coming to the Land Pavilion. And a major expansion of the France Pavilion with a Beauty and the Beast sing-along and Remy's Ratatouille adventure. And that's only what's been announced. There's a lot of speculation and, shall we say, rumors that have been circulating. We should get a better idea of the grander plans at D23 Expo at the end of August in Anaheim. In the meantime, keep that hard hat handy. Please visit us at DisneyDiary.com for the latest news. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Disney Diary. Now, back to the Tiki Hub.
All right, we are back from break here. And so we've decided this week is. Oh, I didn't mention it was that Keith was not here.
If you haven't noticed by now.
Yeah, if you haven't noticed by now, like, where's Keith? Where did he go? So Matt and I are recording this episode directly after last week's Fast Pass show. And just because 4th of July was coming up, I have people in the town, and you have the holiday coming up, and I think Matt's going away. So
they're locking me up. I'm going away.
Yes, you're coming to take you away, haha. So we're decided to record an extra episode tonight, and because Keith is still missing, it's probably an hour after the last time we were looking for him. He still hasn't shown up. Hopefully tomorrow he comes on. It comes back to Earth after the aliens bring him back and realize that there's not much else they could do to him, and he'll join us possibly next week. So we'll find out.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. All right. So this week on the show, we're going to talk about. We got a message from somebody on Twitter, and it comes from Beyond the Rim, Outer Rim Podcast. It goes by Outer Rim Podcast on Twitter, and one of the questions the question they had asked, they were asking us that they said that they didn't have the opportunity to go through our backlog of catalog to find out to give us some Disney planning guidance for a future trip. They said they were asking maybe you can give us some novice tips and tricks, things to avoid, get the most out of your visit, etc. We haven't been in a few years and going with a 1-year-old in 2020 to Galaxy's Edge. So I think as far as Galaxy's Edge goes, we can't really speak much of that because we haven't experienced it and it hasn't been opened up long enough yet. Well, it hasn't been open at all in Disney World, but Disneyland, I think queuing system might be different than Disney World. We're not sure yet, so we can't really say too much on that, but we can talk about other things because Matt and I both like to save a little bit of money. We like to visit Disney World and go back year after year if we can, and we both have kids. His might not really be his, but we both have kids, and that's at least saying something, I think. But I think that one of the things is that with a 1-year-old is I don't come from. You have to know your kid. Is that we never felt that there was a need to take our kids back to the hotel for a break because my kids both slept in the stroller, so that was never an issue. And I know we've talked about that in previous episodes, but I think it depends on also what time of year you're going. If you're going in the middle of July or August when like you see in the news like the heat index is like 111, that might be one of those things where you do need to go back to the hotel room with a 1-year-old to cool off. You just wanted to just remember that they overheat too. They're not immune to that.
And they're actually probably a little more sensitive to it.
Right.
The heat's always going to be, because you can go in January or February and there'll be one random day where it goes from the mid 60s to lower 90s. So just because you're not going in the summertime, you still have to kind of plan for some type of heat relief or something with young kids, with older kids. Keeping some type of I know you can't take coolers now, but if you've got some type of a bag or something, you can keep a cool towel or something in that will, or nothing else, just a towel that you can wet in one of the water fountains or a sink or something to kind of stymie the heat a little bit and give you a little bit of relief. Make sure you carry, what my wife and I like to do is we'll buy a couple bottles of water and then we just refill. It's cheaper that way. You just hit the water fountain. It might not be the best tasting water in the world, but all else fails, you just go get you a free cup of water and then use that to fill up your water bottle. So obviously that's probably the first and foremost thing you've got to keep in consideration when going down to Florida. You also need to worry about just weather in general. If you're going down anywhere around hurricane season, I know right now if you go, you have those summer storms that blow up every day, somewhere between 1 and 3 o'clock, and they can last for 20 minutes. They can last for an hour and a half. So it's Florida. It's unpredictable. You got to prepare for the worst, and that kind of helps make the trip a little bit easier if you're prepared. You know, if you've got ponchos in the bag in case it starts raining, or, you know, some people prefer to take a big umbrella. To me, I'd rather throw a rain jacket or a poncho on and just push on through the rain and keep going.
Yeah, that's a good point. Another thing with a 1-year-old is going to be a stroller. You're going to want to bring a stroller, that's for sure. Whether you're bringing it from home or you're going to rent a stroller, I do not recommend renting a stroller from Disney. They are not going to be comfortable at all. So you can certainly use our sponsor, Kingdom Strollers. I highly recommend using them. I have used them several times myself. A couple times I've got it for free because we were sponsors, and other times I have paid for them. And I'm not just saying that the service is great just to say it, because I have used it and I loved it. It was a stroller that we used ourselves, the City Mini that was available. It's easy to fold up. Just pull on it and it folds up. You take it right onto the bus or Uber or minivans, however you're going to travel, car. They're very easy to use, and they recline, and it holds plenty of things. It's got a parent console. You could put drinks on there. You can stuff bags that you've purchased souvenirs underneath. So stroller is going to be huge for you. You're definitely going to have that. It's going to be a lifesaver.
The one thing with the strollers that neither one of us had to deal with is if you're taking your own, make sure you measure it, because that would probably be the worst thing, is to show up at the gates and they're like, sorry, that can't come inside now. So now you're scrambling, you have to go rent one. It's going to push everything back, and, you know, nothing's worse than showing up on your first day and ready to go to that first attraction and having a huge, you know, curveball thrown at you, and you having to, you know, think on your feet and replan everything. So, you know, if you're taking your own, the measurements are on the website, you know, make sure it's going to, you know, get through the gates before you go in, or else it's going to be a really bad start to your trip.
Yep. Something that we could probably talk about, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time about it because Matt and I were literally just talking about this topic, was getting a park hopper. We're thinking about doing an episode on trying to figure out if it's worth doing, and I think we probably could pull off a full episode, but that's something you're going to have to try to decide whether you want to spend the extra money on a park hopper or not. It might come in handy to have a park hopper with a young kid, but if you have not been there in a while, I don't necessarily think you need it. I think you can get away with not having it, but that's just my opinion. So it's been a while for you, so take that with a little grain of salt.
Yeah, plus one thing you got to think about with a young one, if you're park hopping, it's not like it's just, you know, you and a friend or you and your wife and you're just like, oh, let's just change parks, and you jump on a bus and take off. You've kind of got to go through a little extra process with the little one. That might be folding down the stroller. It might be, you know, oh, they want to actually do this attraction, and you got to steer them away from that. You're going to be a little more of a, I guess, a delay, you can say, changing parks. So it might take a little bit longer to get over the other one. So you're looking at the app and, hey, there's nobody in this park. Well, by the time you get everything out the door and onto the bus and into the park, you're like, oh, okay, well, now the lines are long. So just take that in consideration.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think, you know, it's so funny just trying to think of things. I mean, there's so many things that like pop into your head, but you know, choosing a resort, that's going to be another tough thing. Whether you want to spend the money, it's, you know, for me, we spend a lot of time in the Magic Kingdom, so we like to stay in the Magic Kingdom resorts, but I'm DVC, so I'm not really necessarily worried about costs. But when it comes to, you know, your room, staying at a value is perfectly fine. Staying at a moderate is perfectly fine. The one thing that I would say, if you're going to stay at like a value resort, is you might want to pay for the rooms that are a little bit closer to the front, just because it's easier to get food you may need, because you never know how late it's going to be and you might need something that you weren't planning on, and it's not fun when you have to walk an extra 5-10 minutes to get something because your baby's screaming. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, another point, when we went down in January, it was just my wife and I, but we had ordered some groceries through Amazon Prime, and I wasn't that far away. We stayed at Pop, but having to carry an armful of groceries and a case of water really makes
Yeah.
that trip twice as long as what it actually is. So so yeah, take in consideration your room location. That's something you can request. They might not actually honor it and guarantee that you can stay close, but you can request to be closer to the actual central location of the resort and everything. Ordering groceries. That I was talking to somebody the other day who was debating about going down to Disney, and they were asking, how can we go and not spend a whole lot of money on food or whatever. And then that's what I told them. I was like, you order through Amazon and have them drop them off at the front desk. You go pick them up. Depending on what room you have, you might have a bigger refrigerator. You might have the ability to actually cook food in the room if you're staying, somewhere with a suite or something like that. So that's definitely something to look into, especially with a 1-year-old. You might run into a situation where, we didn't pack enough diapers. We ran out of this food that she likes or whatever. So that's definitely an easy fix. You can call them, and usually you can have it delivered pretty quickly to the front desk and everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, because every trip that I've gone on, except for I think the most recent trip, because we had a rental car. That's right, we had a rental car. Is we would have our food delivered. We'd have my kids' snacks. Fruit is a big thing. My kids love fruit. We spend more money on fruit than anything else. So that's good to have. We had milk delivered, water delivered, cases of water delivered. Water is huge, especially if you're in the summertime. Don't go to Disney and spend $3 or $3.50 for a bottle of water. You can get it free in the parks here and there, any of the quick service places. But there's nothing better than having a nice cold bottle of water when you get back to your room or when you're getting ready to leave the room. So, yeah, definitely keep that in mind.
And I also did find out if you were to order groceries, as long as it's not, alcohol where someone has to be there and sign for it, the bellhop area, they do have refrigerated areas. So if you order milk or something and you're not at the room to pick up at that specific time you had it dropped off, they can keep it refrigerated or whatever till when you get back. You just have to check with bellhop to pick everything up. So
yeah. And they will deliver to your room if you want as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. They will do that as well.
Yep. Another tip would be, I would certainly advise you to get to the parks before they open. So if Magic Kingdoms opens up at 9, shoot for 8:30ish to get at the park if you are a morning person. That way you can do a little bit more, get on a couple more attractions. You could maybe set you can work on a fast pass. Let's just say, for example, you want to do Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, so get a Seven Dwarfs Mine Train for 9 o'clock, between 9 and 10, and then you can go do Peter Pan with the baby, and there will be a 10-minute wait, so you go do Peter Pan, maybe do Winnie the Pooh or something like that, and you'll probably be in and out of both of those attractions in 30 minutes, and then you can go do your fast pass for the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and then after that is done, you have another one for 10 o'clock for something else. So maybe go do the Little Mermaid attraction right after you get off of the Mine Train, and then do your one for your 10 o'clock that you picked. So try to get there before the park opens. There'll be less crowd. You have like an hour and a half to get a few extra things done, as opposed to once like 10:30 comes around, the whole mob is coming in, because a lot of people don't want to get there from when the park opens. They like to sleep late, that want to rush around, because it is vacation. So a lot of people don't do that. So just try to get to the parks early. You can take advantage of using Fast Pass, more so in the Magic Kingdom than the other park.
Yeah, I've always found, I've tried the whole scheduling Fast Passes later in the day, and for me, it just doesn't work out. I'm either wrong location, I'll schedule them for another park thinking I'm going to hop over in enough time, and it just doesn't work out. So I'm always one of those where I'll schedule them early in the morning, get them out of the way, and that way I can start looking, hey, I might want to do this attraction, so I'll just go ahead and reserve a Fast Pass later in the day. So that seems to work out more for me. Obviously, he's going to know more about his touring style. You also want to make sure with the kid, you're going to know the routine. So don't be one of those parents when it's 9 o'clock at night, you've been in the park for all day, the kid's completely melting down and wanting to go out, and you're upset with the kid because they're melting down. Well, You should have known better. I mean, if you know that this kid is normally in bed by 7 o'clock, then make some type of adjustment where you're out of the park and back and getting the kid into bed. You might have one that's it's really cooperative, and you can put it in the stroller and they're out and don't worry about it till you get back to the room. If you have that situation, I salute you, and you are one lucky person. I didn't have that situation. We were, out of the parks by 8:30 at the absolute latest, to make sure my kids are, in bed and everything, so they'll be somewhat on good behavior for the next day.
Right. Food-wise, a tip for like quick service food is that either shoot for 11 a.m. for quick service, between 11 and 11:30 if they're open. Maybe it's 11:30. Some of them don't open up until 11:30. Or after 1:30, 2 o'clock for quick service, because between 12 and 1:30, that's like the high point of lunch, and more even to 2 o'clock it can be really busy. Is that especially if you have a child that's sleeping, you're going to want to bring him inside with air conditioning or whatnot, but it's not fun when quick service is packed and you can't necessarily enjoy your food, or you're waiting on a long line. I know you have mobile order, which helps, but it's not fun when you're standing around looking for a table. So sometimes hitting it early or a little bit later on is your best option. Yeah, and similar to that, a situation that my family ran into, we went right around, I think it was Not So Scary Halloween party, and we were like, okay, we'll get there early and then we'll go to Pecos Bill's and eat and kind of time it so as soon as we get done is when they're opening everything for the Halloween party. Worst mistake ever, because you got people trying to eat before they're going into the party, you got people trying to eat before they close the park to the regular people. It was an absolute madhouse. So again, if you're going to do one of these times when you're at a party or something's going on, wait until they've closed the park to the normal ticket holders and it's already started for the ticket holders for the actual party and everything. Wait until they do that whole changeover. Much easier, much less crowds. And again, we stood there and looked for tables, and Pecos Bill is not the easiest place to get around when you're not carrying trays of food. Right. It's even worse when you're carrying trays of food. Yeah. Let's see. More tips here off the top of my head is definitely, if you can do it, is that try to do one day where you're not in the parks, or if you're planning on doing a Halloween or Christmas party, is that spend the day at the resort, or spend the day checking out other resorts, because it's interesting to, especially like if you're staying at a value and you go over to, let's just say, the Polynesian for a meal at Ohana, just for argument's sake. It's fun to walk around that resort and see what the other resorts have to offer, because so you're not staying there, it's still fun to experience what it's like at some of these deluxe resorts. Take the time and walk around, especially like in Epcot. At the end of the night, maybe when Epcot closes, walk around the boardwalk area. It's a lot of fun. Don't be afraid to go try the ice cream at Ample Hills, or go over to Beach Club, the ice cream place there, grab some ice cream. You don't need to focus so much on the parks per se, because it is a vacation, and try to see what's outside of the parks, because you'll have a good time just walking around. Or the Disney Springs. I mean, Disney Springs, there's so much to do there. You could take the kid into one of the bars at Disney Springs, one of the lounges, and have a drink, and your life doesn't end just because you have a child. If you have a good kid, you could take them and experience, adult life to a degree. I mean, you're not going to go into a dance club, I don't think, unless you really want to, but I wouldn't. I mean, you have a built-in wingman. Yeah, it's true. True. But no, yeah, I agree with all that. My wife is, my kids are older now, and she still likes, usually towards the middle of the trip, having a day where we have nothing planned, so the kids can kind of decompress and sleep in a little bit. And, right. We'll hit the pool if they want to do that, or if they're not interested in that, we'll go walk around Springs, like you said. Check out a couple of the stores or whatever. Hit a resort. They enjoy doing that. Try and pick
like you're saying, either somewhere along the monorail line or boardwalk. So you got a couple different resorts, and you can kind of hit them kind of quick, and
Right.
look at the different the way they're set up and everything, and it kind of gives you an idea of, next time if we come, I might want to stay here, or nah, this is definitely not for me. I don't want to stay here. So it's kind of a way you can, scout for the future as well. So
Yeah. Another good tip would be that if you're going during one of like the food festivals, whether it's Food and Wine or Flower and Garden, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you spend an afternoon or evening going from booth to booth and let that be your meal for the day. It's fun to experience the little plates, and it's nice when you're with your cup, and you can share meals, so you can try more things. You get each gets a couple bites, and you move on to the next thing. It's a lot of fun experiencing that, and you can enjoy Epcot a lot more when you have that kind of pace. Avoid it on the weekends, though. Don't go Friday and Saturday, and most likely Sunday, because it's really crowded over the weekends. Monday through Thursday is your best bet.
And I know this question was, more or less for if they were going with a 1-year-old, but if you've got kids that are a little bit older than that, kind of look at the menus and kind of plan ahead. My wife and I didn't do that when we went with you guys, and we get up there and quickly found out there's nothing at these booths that my kids are going to eat.
Right.
So it quickly derailed everything, because we had to go find food for them. And by the time we did that, we're like, we don't even want to mess with trying to get back in the lines with the booths and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of threw a wrench in the whole plan, and we missed out on it. I mean, we kind of regret not being able to, sample some of the food and everything. So kind of plan ahead that way. Maybe feed the kids before you get there, so that way if it's lunchtime or whatever, they're already fed and dealt with, and you can kind of just go through and sample whatever. And if they say, hey, I'm hungry, well, then it's easier to find a snack or something for them than trying to full-blown meal to satisfy them at that point in time.
Exactly. Yep. That's a good point. It's something that you forget about, because you did experience that and ran into that. So I forgot.
Yeah, and they all have, like, we're sitting there like, okay, they might eat macaroni and cheese, and you're looking like, no, it's got blue cheese in it, or they'll throw something, just a weird twist on it, like, nope, they're not going to eat it because of that. So
right.
It's not as easy as you think, unless you've got kids that just don't care and they'll eat anything. Right. I don't.
Right. I would say this is that with a 1-year-old, I would highly recommend doing a character meal, preferably a character breakfast. You're not going to be paying for the baby; they can eat off your plate, and usually the kids enjoy that. Whether you're doing Winnie the Pooh or, let's just say, Chef Mickey's. One of the two, I think it's worth doing at that age. They'll enjoy it a lot. It's not cheap, but it is a great experience just for you, because you're going to remember, taking the baby and them seeing Winnie the Pooh for the first time, or Mickey Mouse, whatever it is. I would recommend doing one of the character meals.
Yeah, I mean, they'll get a lot of kick out of that. You'll enjoy it just as much as they will with the interactions and everything. One thing that I keep saying I need to look into this, and I haven't. We went, my youngest was 2, so he didn't need a ticket for anything. We actually had done the dining plan, and, he's not old enough, so they're not going to bring him food or whatever. You would just feed him off his plate. Well, we actually went into Via Napoli. I don't know if they still do this. I don't know if every restaurant did this, and this was the only one that mentioned it. But we told him he was 2. He's, everybody had the dining plan, but they still gave him a meal. So I mean, we didn't pay for it. They said, he still gets a meal. So it doesn't hurt to at least ask. I mean, if you've got a kid that's around that age frame, if you're on the dining plan, and just ask, does he get a meal? Is it covered? Do we have to pay for it? Whatever. You might end up, you get a free meal out of it. So it like I said, never hurts. They can say no, and then you just go on about it and feed them off your plate. So at least ask about it.
Yeah. The one last thing that I'm going to bring up would be schedules. Is that throw it out the window? Yeah, I mean, because it's hard to keep a schedule. You know, if your kid naps from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., and then again from 3 p.m. until 5 p.m., just as an example, that's really hard to do in Disney because you don't realize how much time you actually spend waiting for a bus to go to the park, to go to your hotel, whatever it's going to be. It's not easy unless you plan to Uber. It's not easy. So schedules are a tough thing. Sometimes you're just going to have to throw it out the window and just go with the flow.
Here is my solution to that. If you have grandparents that you can sucker or talk into going with you, you can send them back with a kid to do nap time, and then you can just go to the parks. And when the kid wakes up, hey, we'll meet you at so-and-so. Or, if mom wants to take a break and go back with one or both grandparents, or if mom just wants to take a break and go back. Sometimes you have a spouse that's willing to say, sure, stay in the park. I'll take the kid back and we'll just meet up later.
Right.
Most of the times it doesn't happen. You need to go back with them, but, might be an option.
I think the most important thing is have fun, enjoy it, and live in the moment. Don't focus so much on schedules and fast passes and dining reservations. Try not to overload your schedule per se. Live in the moment, enjoy. It's the first trip with your kid, man. It's something special.
That was the biggest adjustment I had to make, because I was used to going on my own, and from the minute the park opened, as hard as I could go until it closed, hitting as many attractions as I can. And finally, my wife looked at me. She's like, look, this isn't fun. You need to stop. She's like, we're not enjoying any of it. We can't go at this pace anymore. So you kind of have to change your whole plan of thought. And like you said, just enjoy it. I mean, if you don't get to every single attraction, it's not that big a deal. They're not really going to go anywhere. They might, but who knows? So just enjoy it. Have fun with the kids. Let them dictate everything and go from there.
Exactly. Anything else, Matt?
I think that's it, man.
All right. The other thing I'd say is that if there's other questions that you have, and I don't know if you had 10 questions or something like that, and felt that you wanted to come on and do an episode for something further, hit us up and let us know. Maybe we can do something like that. But other than that, that's going to do it for this week. But first, we want to thank our sponsors, Kingdom Strollers. To get your premium stroller and crib rentals at kingdomstrollers.com. Let the vacation experts at mousepros.com help plan your next perfect Disney vacation. Don't forget to check us out at redbubble.com/Tiki Talk Podcast. You can connect with us on social media. Find us on Facebook at channel Tiki Talk, Instagram and Twitter at Tiki Talk Podcast. You can leave us a message on the Tiki Talk hotline at 256-4MY-TIKI. That is 256-469-8454. If you enjoy the show, please take the time and rate us on iTunes. You can find me on Twitter at 1 Minute Disney Dream. That's 1MIN Disney Dream, MouseWorldVacations.com, and MousePros.com.
I'm on Instagram at mholly579. Twitter is MattGoesDopey. I'm still on 24 followers. Somebody come do number 25 for me.
Yes, you may follow Keith at I think I've been sick for a very long time, and I don't know where I am. He's a lot of sites going on, but yeah, you can find him. I want to thank Steve for the news. You can check out Steve at DisneyDiary.com for all your Disney news. Most importantly, Alan, take it away.
Thanks for listening this week. For Sean and Keith, I'm Alan, and this has been Enchanted Tiki Talk. Aloha.
Enchanted Tiki Talk has been brought to you by mousepros.com. Let us plan your perfect Disney vacation. And by kingdomstrollers.com for all your premium stroller and crib rental needs. For all of us here, I'm David Benter. Thanks for listening to Enchanted Tiki Talk.